K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level, or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com. K98talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98talk.com.
This is JD and Stacy with K98 Talk. We're here to talk to you about TPA. You may have called it Fast Track, TPA, or Trade Authority. Whatever it is called, it is a terrible idea and is coming up for a vote as early as June 11th.
Barack Obama is negotiating the Trans-Pacific Partnership under an unprecedented veil of secrecy. Our congressmen who view it are threatened with legal action if they disclose details of the documents to the American public.
Fast Track or Trade Promotion Authority, if passed, will prevent Congress from making amendments, debating the provisions, and allow passage of trade agreements with a simple majority.
There is no conservative case for Fast Track Trade Promotion Authority. Our systems of checks and balances demands that Congress weigh and debate trade agreements, demand that Congress does their job.
For information about Trade Promotion Authority and what it really means, visit coalitionforastrongamerica.com and then call your congressman and demand they vote no on TPA when it comes to the floor of the House. This has been a public service announcement by JD and Stacy of K98 Talk.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Don't expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off election debts to those on the take. Attorney General's lying even while
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
All right, folks. Well, happy Tuesday evening. It is Tuesday, July the 9th, 2015. Just a few minutes past the hour of 7 Eastern or 6 Central, depending on where you are. Or for those of you on the left coast, otherwise known as the West Coast, it is now 4:07. Most of us are off work. You guys not so much. But we have so far survived Monday and now Tuesday. Lots and lots and lots of stuff going on in the news. Hope you will forgive me for the fact that I did do a pre-recorded episode yesterday, but I thought it was imperative that that interview that Stacy did on Sunday that I was actually a small part of got as much playtime and airtime as possible, and it's kind of time sensitive because if you've been paying attention, then we have a situation in America that is unprecedented. We are within 48 hours of our elected officials basically handing the president the right to give away our sovereignty. There is a movement afoot in D.C. that has commonly been referred to as Obama trade. Some of the provisions in that, while there's sketchy information on them at best because you can't find very much about it. Honestly, if you start looking online, you find websites that are web pages that folks have built as a joke that says, oh no, hell no, you can't read this. Even our senators can't talk to you about this, and neither can our congressmen, or they face jail time and serious other situations, as you might have heard in the public service announcement that we've just played. So for those of you who don't like those kind of things, I do apologize, but you're going to be hearing a lot of them over the next few days, because we are involved with the Coalition for a Strong America, and we are fighting tooth and nail to make sure that TPA and Fast Track, or Fast Track, I guess they're kind of one and the same, are basically dead in the water, or as I like to call them, one day soon I hope to see them dead and buried. because this is not something that the American people need. It's not something that we wanted. It's not anything that we've asked for. And I have some things that I'm going to be going into today just to show you this is not a left-right issue. There are allies on both sides of this issue that are both left and right. The scariest part is we have former presidential or vice presidential candidates who have come out in favor of TPA, TPP, and Fast Track. Even though the little bit that you've been able to find, and you can find it, there's several chapters of it on WikiLeaks. I mean, there's so much of it, and it's under lock and key, and it's this huge gargantuan document which should scare the crap out of you in the first place. I mean, let's just be really honest. When it's so large that nobody knows what's in it or how we should read it, then this is a problem. A very large problem. And in this case, for those of you who may not be listening on our home channel on Spreaker, because we are everywhere at this point, you can find us on the K98 Talk website. You can find us on TuneIn. You can find this particular episode on its own app in the Android store. iPhone app coming soon, hopefully. You can also find it on iHeart and Stitcher. But for those of you who may not be listening in a way that you can see the show title, the title of this evening's show is Grassroots America versus Big Government. And that's exactly what we have going on right now, is we have grassroots movements that are coming together and finding footing. And we are standing toe-to-toe with people that believe, are standing shoulder to shoulder with people that believe what we believe. That America should be the home of the free, the land of the brave, and that we don't need to place ourselves under foreign authority. And we'll get to that in a second, because there's some really, really scary stuff in this bill, folks. I understand that most of you can't see it. Most of you probably don't even care because you're too busy watching reality TV. But there are some of us who are out here, and we're not doing this because we want to be able to say, I'm the next Glenn Beck, or I'm the next Rush Limbaugh, or at least I'm not. None of that is the reason why I do any of this. I do this because I legitimately have a passion to try to make a difference. So I want to just take a moment to say thank you to each and every one of you, and you know who you are, who have been standing shoulder to shoulder with us while we stand shoulder to shoulder with the Strong Coalition, or Coalition for Strong America, because we really are starting to make a difference. And that is actually one of the first things that I wanted to share with you today, because this came over through Breitbart right as I was about to go on the air. This is from Breitbart.com. Exclusive: Obama trade support falling apart in House despite leadership push. Republican members aren't buying what President Barack Obama and House Speaker Rep. John... I'm sorry, I almost said Boner, but that's what I call him anyway, so what the hell. Rep. John Boner, Republican, Ohio, are selling. When it comes to Obama trade and support for the president's key trade agenda item, is starting to fall rapidly amidst grassroots pressure. I'm voting against Trade Promotion Authority Rep. Paul Cook, Republican, California, told Breitbart News on Tuesday. I don't trust President Obama to negotiate in good faith in November. I mean, come on, the dude can't negotiate his way out of a paper bag. That was me ad-libbing, by the way. He didn't actually say that. I signed a letter to President Obama highlighting Congress' authority to set the terms of trade in Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution. Voting for Trade Promotion Fast Track authority would essentially give President Obama a blank check to negotiate trade deals without congressional input. We've seen too many bad deals happen on his watch, and his abuse of executive orders has demonstrated his complete disregard for the law. I don't want to see that happen one more time. Rep. Paul Gozer, from Republican from Arizona, through a spokesman, confirmed he is leaning no on Obama trade. As of now, Congressman Gozer is leaning no. Gozer spokesman Steve Smith said in an email. He has concerns about the consequences of granting the president fast track authority. Well, duh. I mean, come on. Do you really... I mean, think about this for a second. I've said this so many times, people. It is insane. Even if you're okay with this particular president being able to wield that kind of power, are you going to be okay when the other side gets a turn? If the answer to that question is no, and it damn well should be a no, then this stuff needs to stop, it needs to die, it needs to cease and desist, and it needs to do so now. because this is the way that we should be looking at every single piece of legislation that the folks that we send to D.C. are looking at. Is, am I going to be okay with this legislation, even if I'm okay with it now, depending on who's holding power? Would I be okay if the other side gets a turn? If the answer to that question is a no, and in this case it should be a resounding hell no, if the answer to that question is no, then we need to stop this dead, which means we need your help. We're getting the momentum, but we still need your help. Reach out to your congressmen, reach out to your senators, tell them to vote no on TPA Fast Track. This is bad. This is terrible. If you want to know why it's so terrible, then when this show's over, feel free to go to our archive pages. You can see the interview show that Stacey and I did on Sunday, where Stephanie, and I always want to call her a different last name, so bear with me for a moment. I'll get her last name again in a moment. But where Stephanie from the Coalition for a Strong America actually outlines everything, or a good portion of everything, that we feel is wrong with TPA Fast Track, and the reason why it never, ever, ever should have even been considered, much less being this close to coming up for a vote. I mean, folks, unless something changes, we are less than 48 hours from a vote on this mess. And it is a mess. We're talking backdoor immigration. We're talking basically, with one fell swoop, we'll start handing over our sovereignty to the World Court. I mean, these are the things that are in this bill. Why do you think they keep it under lock and key? Do you think if it was honestly a good thing for us, they would keep it under lock and key? They would be shouting it from the rooftops, the things that it's going to do. And then they would not only be shouting them from the rooftops, they would let us see the good things that it's going to do. But they're not doing that. And I wonder why it is that they're not doing that. And before I forget again, her last name is Scruggs. Sorry, Stephanie. For some reason, I keep wanting to call you Stephanie Scroggins. I'm not sure why. So in case you're listening, didn't want to butcher your last name completely, so I stopped for a second. But yes, Stephanie Scruggs, formerly with the 912 Project, is the person that we interviewed on Sunday, and then the interview replayed last night. It also replayed on my show yesterday, because that's how important this stuff is to us. The simple fact of the matter is, there are a lot of us that are waking up. The problem is, I'm starting to wonder if we might not have woke up a little bit too late, because look at what they've been trying to do right under our noses, and nobody's been paying attention. They are seriously a stone's throw away from basically abdicating our entire sovereignty to the World Court, and nobody's saying anything about it. Hell, for that matter, there are Republicans that are supporting it. The party that's supposed to be all about freedom. Yeah, they're all over it going, oh, this is great for America. It's going to mean jobs. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. Let me tell you what it's going to do. It's going to kill us. As a nation, we will no longer be a free people. If you don't believe me, look at some of the changes that are already happening in our commercials. And if you want to hear the whole story, it's again part of that interview. Stephanie starts talking about the fact that, we used to have this country of origin labeling thing. If you notice, that's kind of stopping. If you notice that on McDonald's commercials and everything now, they don't say, beef proudly raised in Michigan or wherever, blah, blah, blah. Now it just says 100% North American beef. There's a reason why that is. Because when we were doing the country of origin labeling, it was hurting other countries' exports. We are turning our sovereignty over to a world court if this passes. All right, well, at this point, we are up to the first break of the show, so we're going to go ahead and take a really quick break, play a couple of spots. We'll be right back with you. Don't go anywhere, folks. Still lots and lots and lots left of the show. More to talk about with TPA Fast Track and why it's a nightmare. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's Cliff Davis from KLCI FM, the best radio station in the world. Coming soon. Stay tuned.
Now's the time to get involved. The Coalition for a Strong America is the only conservative grassroots organization meeting with congressmen and high-level staffers on a regular basis. Stephanie Scruggs, co-chairman, is concerned about the upcoming TPA vote.
First of all, what you need to know is that Fast Track TPAs is still before Congress, where Congress gives their power to negotiate international trade agreements and treaties to the president.
She recommends contacting your representative and telling them to vote no on this measure. It comes to the floor this Thursday, June the 11th. For more information, go to coalitionforastrongamerica.com and let your voice be heard. This has been a special announcement from K98 Talk.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
This is Misty, owner of Waxit Studio in Edmond, Oklahoma, and I'm here to talk to you about a skincare product called Theramedics. Theramedics has a wonderful line of products from anti-aging to hyperpigmentations all the way to acne. In fact, everyone at some point in our life is affected by acne. Acne can cause a great deal of embarrassment and anxiety, and in order to prevent and help other people, I have tapped into this wonderful product called Theramedics. Visit my website at www.prettyskindeep.com. Again, that's www.prettyskindeep.com.
For our own cause, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all your laws. Political courageous will replace the Bill of Rights. Support religious freedom, lest you pray to Jesus Christ. The press is in our pockets cause there's no longer free. You cannot make a move now that the NSA can see. Don't expect it.
All right, folks, we are back. We are live, and we are discussing Grassroots America versus Big Government right here on America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. Now, we're going to change gears a little bit and let you know some more about what might be going on in social media that maybe you haven't heard about. There is a big split when it comes to the Republican Party with this particular piece of legislation, or as I like to call it, piece of toilet paper. Hey, TPA, TP, what can I say? And basically, these are some of the things that I kind of wanted to go over with you. There is a big push, even among some conservatives, or some people that say they're conservatives. One of these is from a group called Conservative Nation. The Conservative Case for Trade Promotion Authority by Jeb Heinzert. Trade Promotion Authority is the best way to ensure a beneficial trade deal while preserving Congress' vital constitutional role in the process. That's written by Jeb Heinzari. At least I think that's how I'm pronouncing the name. I didn't open up the full link, or I think that's how you're supposed to pronounce the name, but I didn't open the full link. Now, I have a question about that, because how are we preserving Congress's role in the process when we're giving all of the authority to the executive branch? Nobody seems to have an answer for that question. Rep. Steve Scalise looks like he has something that he is considering a myth, and that's myth one, that TPA is unconstitutional. Fact, Congress retains its authority to approve or reject all future trade agreements. Really? I beg to differ. Seriously, because it's a docking agreement. So if this all happens, basically anybody can be in on it anytime they want to, and all they have to do is ask for approval, and it won't come from us, because we're going to be giving our authority away for a lot of our decision making to a world court. So yes, maybe Congress will still have a modicum of power, but they're not going to be the deciding authority any longer. Now, actually, as of right now, it looks like as of 22 minutes ago, it looks like there is another breaking story on Breitbart. So let me see if I can get that to pull up. Maybe it's the same one. It's worded differently, though. This is actually from the Breitbart Twitter feed. It says, quite incredible that Boner's team is unable to get their message through to members themselves, and means that essentially the establishment is not even getting their phone calls returned. Oh, darn. Okay, if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. The establishment folks need to go. The establishment folks are part of the reason why we are in the mess that we are in. Now, this is one of the things that I laughed out loud the first time I read this from Speaker Boner. And yeah, at this point, I'm not even hiding it anymore. That's just his name with me from now on. Everyone will have a chance to read it before they vote on it. It says, with self-described socialists like Senator Bernie Sanders, independent Vermont, and radical liberals like Senator Elizabeth Warren opposed to TPA, and considering that President Ronald Reagan, an economist... Hang on, let me just pull this whole thing up, because I'm trying to read it through the Twitter feeds, and that's not working very well. So now, I think they're going to start comparing those of us that are against the TPA to socialists. Conservative support for TPA grows. This is from John Boehner's press office. Trade is good for America. It supports good, high-paying, quality jobs in our country, Speaker Boehner said last week, noting that this is not an easy political issue for Democrats. Big labor and special interests have been ratcheting up their threats against those who support TPA, Trade Promotion Authority, in case anybody was wondering. But this is about doing the right thing for America, and I hope my colleagues will stand with American families and small businesses and support this effort. How exactly does this support small business, Mr. Boehner? Could you possibly spew just a little more crap? It was a call reiterated this week by USA Today's editorial board, which wrote that House Democrats are fighting the deal for a simple but not very good reason. Labor has pulled out all the stops to persuade, cajole, and pressure them into killing it. An overwhelming vote to block the TPA partnership, or the TPP in this case, or Trans-Pacific Partnership, would be widely interpreted as the Democrats putting the interests of unions first. With self-described socialists like Senator Bernie Sanders, independent of Vermont, and radical liberals like Senator Elizabeth Warren, Democrat in Massachusetts, opposed to TPA, and considering that President Ronald Reagan and economist Milton Friedman were strong advocates for free trade, it's no wonder that conservative support for passing the Trade Promotion Authority is growing even stronger. Can we just be honest for just 1 second? This has absolutely not a damn thing to do with free trade. This doesn't make free trade any easier. It doesn't make it happen any faster. What it does is it takes the congressional authority to approve and propose and work through treaties and trade agreements and everything else, and it squarely gives it to the sitting president. Again, if you are okay with him having it now, are you going to be okay if a Republican president gets it in 2016? Because again, if the answer to that question is no, then you need to contact your congressmen, your senators, light up the switchboard. Let them know that this crap will not fly, because here's the thing. Even if it's supposed to be good for America, if it was really, truly good for America, would it be being kept under lock and key? Can we just use common sense for 1 damn minute? If this was truly good for America, would it be being kept under lock and key? Would they make any of the staffers that are even within 5 feet of the locked room door where the congressmen and senators go in to review the thing have to have high-level security clearances? Would they keep recording devices out? Would they make them shred documentation before they leave if this was all truly good for America? Can we please just wake up for 5 seconds? Because if we don't wake up now, it's going to be too late. We are 48 hours away from the first step to succeed, to removing ourselves from the equation. It's that simple. We are less than 2 days away from removing ourselves from the equation. We will at that point become a monarchy. Maybe not in name, but it will be a monarchy. But the problem is, this monarchy will now become subject to a ruling board known as the World Court. These are the things that they want. Nobody's paying attention. Very few people have been talking about it up until the last couple of weeks. The word is finally starting to get out, and we need your help. Call your congressmen, call your senators, do it now. If you have questions that you feel like you need to have answered, then go to coalitionforastrongamerica.com. Look over the information there. This is important. This is vital. And the problem is, there are too many people that think this is a good idea because they're too stupid to pay attention. Or they don't honestly care. I mean, it's all over the place. It's everywhere. Every time I turn around, there's another thing that talks about the TPA being a good thing. I mean, this is another one from Speaker John Boehner. What TPA will ensure trade agreements are in line with people's priorities. You can't promise that. You are giving away, if TPA Fast Track passes, you will no longer have any authority to determine what happens with trade agreements because you're giving that authority to the president. You are basically circumventing a document that was written by our founding fathers. Some of the smartest people for their generation, probably honestly some of the smartest people for all time. And you guys keep, every time I turn around, even those of you that try to say, we need to stand for the Constitution needs to come first in America. Oh, unless it's my side's turn. Oh no, yeah, well, were you paying attention when I said anything about that Constitution? I really hope not, because now we're gonna use it as a format. Because we want this trade stuff because cheap laborers and foreign jobs and less money for businesses because they get to send all their even more of their jobs overseas, and we get to bring in lots of more people to take the low paying jobs that we can make even more low paying because they can't tell anybody that we're paying them less than minimum wage because they're not supposed to be here. This is the country that we live in. We have people lining up on both sides of this issue. It crosses party lines, age demographics. If you're in bed with big business, no matter what Boehner says, you want it because big business wants it because then they get cheap labor. I mean, yes, Democrats want votes. That's why they're all for the open border idea, but they don't want to give away our sovereignty. Anybody with half a brain does not want to give away our sovereignty, which is why John Boehner wants to give away our sovereignty, because he doesn't have half a brain. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? I'm probably offending someone right now, but you know what? I'm mad enough about all of this that I honestly don't even care anymore. All right, folks, we are going to have to take another really quick commercial break. We are at the bottom of the hour. And where did the time go? Because here I was thinking this was going to be a long show because it'd been a long day, and now we're almost over. All right, folks, this is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. We'll be right back after these commercial messages. Don't forget, blow up the switchboard. Make them listen. Make DC listen. We can do it. I promise you, we can do it.
This is Misty, owner of Wax It Studio in Edmond, Oklahoma, and I'm here to talk to you about a skincare product called Theramedics. Theramedics has a wonderful line of products from anti-aging to hyperpigmentations all the way to acne. In fact, everyone at some point in our life is affected by acne. Acne can cause a great deal of embarrassment and anxiety, and in order to prevent and help other people, I have tapped into this wonderful product called Theramedics. Visit my website at www.prettyskindeep.com. Again, that's www.prettyskindeep.com.
This is JD and Stacy with K98 Talk. We're here to talk to you about TPA. You may have called it Fast Track, TPA, or Trade Authority. Whatever it is called, it is a terrible idea and is coming up for a vote as early as June 11th.
Barack Obama is negotiating the Trans-Pacific Partnership under an unprecedented veil of secrecy. Our congressmen who view it are threatened with legal action if they disclose details of the documents to the American public.
Fast Track or Trade Promotion Authority, if passed, will prevent Congress from making amendments, debating the provisions, and allow passage of trade agreements with a simple majority.
There is no conservative case for Fast Track Trade Promotion Authority. Our systems of checks and balances demands that Congress weigh and debate trade agreements, demand that Congress does their job.
For information about Trade Promotion Authority and what it really means, visit coalitionforastrongamerica.com and then call your congressman and demand they vote no on TPA when it comes to the floor of the House. This has been a public service announcement by JD and Stacy of K98 Talk.
The leader in talk radio on the internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
Not on my watch, our military service members say, as they volunteer to serve. As they move out, stand firm, and take fire. So not on our watch, we say, to the severely ill or injured veterans who can't get the care they deserve to live full and independent lives, even when there's no government funding or a nursing home seems like the only option. We won't leave one warrior behind. Not on our watch. Join us at findwwp.org.
This is JD.
And this is Stacy.
Join us Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, for Game On. Remember,
lock up the children and the old folks.
Game On, the home of libertative conservatism.
Where no one is safe and no one is spared, not even the hosts.
Oh, that was supposed to be a spin cycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We love you anyway. Right round, baby.
Self-monitoring
right
Ebola
round.
radio strikes again.
Anyway.
Anybody see the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? For God's sake, I need an antidote. Just do your rant. Let's pop out of the segment.
Find us on Twitter at JD and Stacy.
You're listening to K98Talk.com.
For her own cause, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all your laws. Political correctness will replace the Bill of Rights.
All right, folks, we are back. We are live. We are in the last half hour of America Off the Rails, the Tuesday edition, and we are still talking about Grassroots America versus big government. And as the line, as the line says at the beginning of this cut that we put together, a Penn and Teller. Hang on. You know what? Let's just play it again. So I'm not actually exactly sure what it says, but I know it's kind of relevant to what we've been talking about today.
For her own cause, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all your...
Penn and Teller Fund. Well, now they not only have the Penn and Teller Fund, they're about to have the Penn and Teller Law, because they're about to be able to basically just say, you know what, screw you, America. We don't want to do our jobs anymore, so we're going to give even more of the authority that we're supposed to have to the president so that he can do our jobs for us, because we want 18 weeks of vacation instead of 6. And we don't want to have to worry about whether or not we're getting called on the carpet for doing the present or the not present votes or the voting by roll call stuff, And that's honestly what some of this comes down to, I think, legitimately. Is there a congressman that have the job that want to make it as automated as possible? And they want to put a good spin on it. Because let's be honest, it's all they know how to do. They're a bunch of schlubs. I mean, seriously, look at what they're doing. Look at what they're making happen. And none of it is good. None of it is good. So this is from Global Trade Watch. Want to know what's really lurking in TPA? We've got you covered. And apparently they may have something that lets you read some of it, but I'm not sure. I hadn't pulled it up yet. The last thing we need is for politicians to fast-track a Pacific trade deal through Congress that allows them to build in secret provisions that help their campaign contributors but hurt working and middle-class families. So here's my thing, and this is my question, and it's been my question all along. Whether you agree with the TPA or you disagree with the TPA, why are we not being allowed to see it? And I know I'm saying this over and over and over again, but let that sink in for a second. The people that are supposed to work for us, we pay their salaries through our tax money. We're the ones that vote them into office, and even they're being told you can't take any of this information back to your constituents. How can that possibly be a good thing? How can it possibly be a good thing? It's the same argument that we tried to use for Obamacare, and look what mess that has become. Look what a mess that has become. Can we just seriously look at it for just a second and look at what a mess Obamacare is? What a mess it has been. Actually, I just got notification of a follow-up article from Breitbart.com, so we're going to get that pulled up here real quick. Sorry, folks, but this is important enough that I think it's imperative that we break in with the live information whenever it's available. More Republicans are coming out in opposition to Obama trade, the Trade Promotion Authority, which would fast-track the Trans-Pacific Partnership, pushing back against House leadership's efforts to ram it through the House. Trade deals should be about creating jobs. Rep. Robert Alderhart, Republican of Alabama. Hey, good shout out for your folks down your way, Grouchy. I'm pretty sure you're listening right now, but might want to call your rep and so far give him a pat on the back. Well, maybe your rep. I'm not that familiar with where you actually are, so he may not be yours, but he's at least from your home state. An influential Alabaman who serves in a senior position on the House Appropriations Committee, told Breitbart News, "At this point, I am skeptical that any trade deal President Obama or any president might bring would actually create jobs in Alabama. This will be an agreement that would be in place for years to come." While Alderhart's quote is not an express no against Obama trade, it's certainly hard to see him voting for it now. That increases the no votes and leaning no votes on this to nearly 40 members, and the undecided members on Capitol Hill aren't budging under pressure from Speaker Rep. Boner. Anyone else pushing Obama trade, it's so bad that Boner and his allies have some sources have suggested that wow, either I'm really tired or this sentence makes absolutely no sense. So let me back up. And the undecided members on Capitol Hill aren't budging under pressure from Speaker Rep. John Boner either, or anyone else pushing Obama trade. It's so bad that Boner and his allies have some sources. Okay. It's so bad that Boner and his allies have suggested started targeting undecided House members, staffers, and what one aide told Breitbart News was a sickening effort to push Obama trade through. Oh, great. So, Boner, now that you're the big guy on the block, you're doing the same crap you were getting onto the other guy for when you were the little guy on the block. Meanwhile, Rep. Louis Gohmert from Texas, good friend of JD and Stacey, who's already publicly opposed to Obama trade, told Breitbart News on Tuesday that Republican leadership has adopted Democrat talking points on this. In an email, Gohmert said, "Many trusted Republicans parrot the talking points Democrat leaders fashioned, that passing TPA will force the administration to finally provide us information before trade agreements are finalized, which will then force the president to include Congress in something so important. This is such a great idea, except, wait, Wasn't it the law that the president had to give us 30 days notice before he released anyone from Guantanamo? Isn't it the current law that the president and his administration must comply with lawful subpoenas from Congress, like requesting Fast and Furious documents that have still not been provided? Gohmert continued by hammering the administration for its various scandals and questioning why any Republicans would trust Obama. And isn't it the law that the administration officials must come testify before Congress when subpoenaed, not tell them they have no business in asking? Much like the White House principal health policy advisor told top IRS much like the White House principal health policy advisor and top IRS official did to the House Oversight Committee and the U.S. Treasury Department. Good Lord, punctuation, people. Continues to do to the Senate. The list of blatant disregard for the law continues on. However, I'm afraid it will take up too much room to name all of the offenses. In fact, the fact is that this lawless administration is the least transparent ever. Louis, I hate to disagree, but they are pretty transparent. They're just transparently corrupt. So at this point, we have a list of growing numbers that are coming out against the Obama trade legislation, which is a great thing for us here because K98 Talk, as well as the Coalition for a Strong America, are diametrically opposed to this legislation and will continue to do what we have to do until it is stopped. Alright, so just to kind of give a little bit of a shout out to the stuff that's going on tonight here in just a little bit. This show will be stopping at that point. You'll have a replay of the Liz Harrison show starting probably in about 10 minutes or so. Then at 8 we have the Right Angle, 9 Eastern, hosted by Bill and Leslie. And then we have the 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock hour, hosted by JD and Stacy in their Tuesday edition of Game On, where they have a really exciting interview. And sadly, for the moment, the information escapes me. I had everything pulled up except for the information about their interview. But make sure that you tune in and check that out as well. And again, as a reminder, if you're not sure what to do or you don't know how to get involved in this stuff, then just visit coalitionforastrongamerica.com. They have information there. They have ways that you can get in contact with folks. If you just want to be able to call the DC switchboard and let your representative know exactly what it is that you want them to do or not do, then you can find that information. You can run a Google search. It'll pull it right up. Sadly, I, again, don't have that in front of me. It may be something that we wind up giving out more tomorrow. Now, I just want to share with you a couple of the comments that I found in this Breitbart article, just because they kind of made me chuckle as I was rolling through them. I won't be mentioning any names, but it's this is in quotation marks, and it appears to be someone mimicking what the president probably should say. Hi, I'm a serial liar who mainly knows what I read off of a teleprompter, and I want you to agree in advance to give up your constitutional right to amend the deal with foreign powers I won't let the American people see, and which you can only look at in a secret room for a number of hours. It's hundreds of pages of legalese. Provided you agree to keep it totally secret from the people, what could possibly go wrong? Anyone who would vote this way is either a fool, corrupt, or treasonous. Oh, there's a bonus in it for them. They get a free leaflet signed personally by the serial liar saying, "Drank the Kool-Aid, didn't you? Thanks, sucker." And then a reply to that comment was, Obama trade is global affirmative action to make things fair. In other words, saddle our competitiveness with political correct rules of engagement and allow the wealth transfer away from us to occur. The left has destroyed Europe's ability to produce and compete. Our illustrious president wants the same handicap for us. 800 plus pages, 29 chapters, and only 4 of which deal with trade. So what the hell is Obama really up to? No one has read it. I wonder what would happen if we passed an 800-page piece of legislation no one has read. I wonder. So, apparently there are at least a few Americans that understand what the hell is going on right now. because this is probably, I have to say, one of the scariest times I think that I have ever lived in. Because we seriously, within the next 48 hours, could be looking at the beginning of the end of our sovereignty as a nation. So, as a reminder, as I go ahead and take us out here in a couple of minutes, playing the public service announcements again. And yes, I know I'm playing them a lot. I don't care. This is important. It matters. That's what all of this was started for. Is to do something about the things that matter. So that's what we're going to do. We couldn't do any of it without you, so I want to give everybody a great big thank you that tunes in and listens every day, that follows along on Twitter, that interacts with us, that sends us emails, that hangs out in the chat rooms. Speaking of which, yes, I know I was a bad host again today. I did not hang out in the chat room, but hey, I multitask all day at the day job. I really don't want to have to multitask when I'm doing what I like to do. I'm just saying. Okay, so at this point, just to recap, we are 48 hours away from a potential vote for TPA Fast Track. So far, it looks like maybe, just maybe, we are starting to turn the tide. So keep the pressure up for all of you that are on the front lines. I want to give a big shout out and thank you to a couple of folks, just because I know that they're the ones doing the lion's share of the work when it comes to this stuff. It's just like our promo says. And those are the founders of Coalition for a Free America, Stephanie Scruggs, and I have not been given permission to give the other person's name out, so I will not do that. However, just know it is a partnership, and they are working together. They're working for you guys. And here's the important thing, and this is why I wanted to save a few minutes to talk about this, because this is my PSA for the Coalition for a Strong America. Let me tell you how these folks are doing this. They're doing this with no corporate backing, no corporate funding. It means they're not in anybody's pocket. They are up there doing what they do because they believe in America. They believe that America is still the strongest, best place to be in the world. I completely agree with that sentiment, which is why, as soon as I knew what they were doing, you can hear it in the interview. Nobody knew I was going to do what I did, but at the very end of that interview, I told them that I would donate airtime to them for as long as they were fighting the good fight. And I will, because that's part of what this is for. Yes, at some point I'd like to make it more of a business than it is, but I also want to use it to make a difference. So from this point forward, they will be a permanent sponsor here for as long as I'm in business or as long as they're in business. And that's not me trying to curry any favor. That's because I believe in what they're doing. So that's why I'm telling you now, when it comes to my friends, and yes, I said friends, at the Coalition, or at the Coalition for a Strong America, you need to visit their website now. If you have the ability to support them, do so. If you don't, then tell your friends about them, because you don't know how many of your friends might be able to support them. This is truly a grassroots movement, and they are truly trying to make a difference in America. They have been to the Hill nonstop for weeks, over and over and over again, having meetings, having discussions. And the simple fact of the matter is, they can't do it without you. Because they don't want corporate lobbyists, they don't want corporate backing, and they don't want corporate funding. They are a grassroots coalition, so we need to support them today. Even if you can't do it financially, you can help them by word of mouth. I know everybody listening has Facebook accounts, Twitter accounts, Snapchat accounts, Kick accounts, whatever the heck else is going on nowadays. You can put their information everywhere. Even if you cannot aid them financially, you can take a couple of minutes out of your day, every day, to let folks know that they're there and that they're fighting the good fight for us right here at home, who are doing things that to make a difference as well, but we're not necessarily on the front lines. Think of us as airstrike support, because basically they contact us, we get the word out, and we get some targeted things going on. But they're the ones fighting the good fight every day on the front lines, and they need your help to keep it going. And I don't mean for this to sound like a telethon, because that's kind of what it, or a radiothon, because that's kind of what it sounded like at the end of today's episode. But it really is that important. And again, I'm not asking you to give them money. If you can, that's great. But I'm not saying, hey, open up your wallet and give these folks everything you've got. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is donate your time, your talents, or your money, whichever one you can do. This is a great way to get involved. Remember how I end every show, and I'll be ending it here, well, almost every show, except for lately, and been doing a very good job of that. But it's time to put down the remote. It's time to get off the couch, and it's time to get involved. If you don't get involved now, there may not be anything left to get involved with later. And the simple fact of the matter is, these people are out fighting the good fight for you. So what better way to get involved? To be able to still do so from the comfort of your home and give them social media support and tell friends what it is that they're doing. And it's really that simple. It really is. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this particular episode of America Off the Rails. We're about to go ahead and call it a night because, as you can probably hear, the children have come home in the next room, and I'm sure some of what they're playing on the TV might be bleeding over. So because of that, we're going to go ahead and cut this thing short just a couple minutes early while I figure out what happened to my soundproofing. All right, so this has been Rick Robinson. You are listening to America Off the Rails. I'll be back with you tomorrow live. Hopefully we'll have some good news when it comes to TPA Fast Track. If not, we're going to keep fighting until we do. So hang in there, keep fighting that good fight, and do what you can do. Again, as a reminder, coalitionforafreeamerica.com. Go there, tell your friends, tell everybody, because they're fighting the fight when no one else can, and you can help them do it too. Have a great night, folks. We'll be back tomorrow.